Hi, I'm Shelley Wood and this is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a fabric covered decorative hanger. These make fantastic gifts and they're surprisingly easy to make. You will need a wire hanger, some masking tape, a fabric pencil, decorative ribbon to tie around the neck of the hanger, some wire and wire cutters, along with 1-inch double fold bias tape, fiber fill, the fabric of your choice, and some ugly trim that you really don't like. For this I used a hunk of ratty looking ribbon that had been salvaged from a gift box, but it was fabric ribbon. And of course you could also cut your own trim. We'll be using the trim to wrap around the hook, but it won't be visible when we're done, so keep that in mind. Okay, so let's start with our hanger. Bend your wire hanger right in the middle, drawing the bottom of the hanger up toward the hook. Cut one wire that's 6 inches long and another that's 8 inches long. And that's what you see me doing here with my little wire cutters. I'm not real good with wire cutters. Wrap the 6-inch wire around the base of the hook and crisscross it there. Twist the wire to make it stable. Extend the wire tips down to either side of the bottom of the hanger and then give it a twist. Wrap the tails of the wire around the bottom. Take the second wire and do the same thing, but this time wrap it around the other side of the neck of the hook. Okay, so I pinch it, I start twisting my wire. Okay, and then I wind that extra wire around, and then I do the other one, the 8-inch wire, and it kind of goes back and forth. Okay. And there you go. Now your hanger should look something like this. Tape the trim to the top of the hanger near the neck of the hook. Wrap the trim around the neck, up the neck all the way to the hook. Wrap the trim around the hook as well. Then wrap the trim back down the neck, creating a second layer of trim all the way around that hook. Wrap the trim around all the wires and secure it in place with masking tape. This step ensures that the neck, the center, and the hook are soft to the touch when it's all done. Open your bias tape and fold the cut edge in like you see me doing here. Baste stitch along this folded edge. That's what this looks like. Wrap the bias tape around the base of the hook and whip stitch to close the open edges of the bias tape. So, using whip stitch around the hook and down the neck of the hanger, securing the bias tape sort of as an outer skin. Now before you reach the base of the neck, cut the bias tape about 2 inches away from the base of the hanger's neck. Whip stitch all the way down, attaching the bias tape to the trim. With a fabric pencil, trace around the shape of the hanger, allowing for a 1-inch seam allowance. Now that's a lot of seam allowance. Include 1 inch of neck seam allowance at the top. Cut 2 of these hanger shapes, following the marks you made with the fabric pencil. Lay one fabric piece over another, keeping right sides together. Now for this next section of the video, please watch until we get to the clipping part, so you'll understand where to sew and where not to sew. It'll be important to leave an opening on one side. So you're going to stitch along the outside edge of the hanger shape using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, starting 5.5 centimeters from one tip of the hanger and sewing around that tip, all along the bottom of the hanger shape, around the other tip, up the left shoulder of the hanger, and stopping your stitches before you reach the neck. So you do not want to stitch the neck at all. Notice we did not sew the right shoulder except for that little 4.5 centimeter section where we very first started. So you're going to clip your seams. I like to use my Fisker's little snips for this. I'll put a link in the description below for those. If you don't own a pair, I highly recommend them. They're great for clipping seams. Invert the fabric sleeve you've made, and that's what I'm doing here. So you'll see there's a nice big opening on the right shoulder. Alright, and I do use a chopstick to help me with inverting. It helps kind of poke out the corners. I use the dull end of the chopstick for that. Now press your seams. Slide the hanger into the sleeve. And that's what I'm doing here. Here's my hanger, and I just slide it in there. And you have to bend it a little to get it around that first corner. Stuff the hanger with fiber fill. Now, where the sleeve lays open along the shoulder, tip the hanger upright and fold the raw edges of fabric in. Pinch the folds together, keeping the raw edges of fabric inside the hanger, and whip stitch to seal these pinched areas together. Now, if you can do a ladder stitch, that looks even better. I'm just not real good at ladder stitches. Okay, so here's what we have so far. All right, and you can see I tip it up and then I just pinch those in. I've got my needle and thread here. I like to put the knot on the inside so people can't see it. And then I begin my whip stitch. Okay, and I'm just whip stitching as I go along. And once again, if you can do ladder stitch, it looks better. But here's how that looks along the right shoulder after I'm finished. Now when you get up to the neck of the hanger, fold the neck pieces in like this and pinch these together as well, hiding the raw edges of fabric inside the hanger. Continue to whip stitch up the right shoulder and whip stitch the fabric to the bias tape all around the neck on both sides. Now you add a decorative ribbon as a finishing touch, and now you've made a fancy gift to give your mother, your sister, or even a close friend. For more crafty projects like this, and for hundreds of free printable PDF sewing patterns for making doll clothes to fit dolls of many shapes and all different sizes, please remember to visit my website, shelleywood.com. If, like me, you happen to have an ugly childhood fairy who tends to inspire your arts and crafts, then you may benefit from my life balance to-do list. It helps you plan not just your arts and crafts, but it helps you organize your family chores while also rewarding yourself from time to time. Now, if that seems tricky, it also comes with an idea generator to help you fill in the blanks with helpful goals. You can fill it out digitally, or you can print it and fill it out by hand. There's a link to this product in the description.